should know. I have never really liked you at all. I cannot hide it anymore. I've been thinking about the future, trying to forget about the past. So many ways that I could change for the better. Don't
Sorry, y'all. I was sending an email. Hold on. I apologize.
This is a true crime discussions channel. We speculate. This is all just speculation. Because it's true crime, it's for mature audiences only. There will be no children allowed, no exceptions. Everything on this channel falls under fair use. Please remember to like, comment, subscribe, and share. It's free.
Hey, y'all. Thank you for being here with me today. Hey, Max. Hey, Cracker, Rhonda, Abellis, good to see you. Blue Jay, good to see you. Connie, Michael, Green Chili Chicken, Indie Girl, Tony. I'm so glad y'all are here today. Miss Sarah, thank you for asking everybody to hit the thumbs up. Hey, Rubber Ramada, Southern Cats. Good to see y'all. Cindy from sunny South Florida. Tom is here. I'm so glad y'all are here today. Jenny Jen, Bad Girl, Chow. Thank y'all for being here. I really appreciate that. So good to see y'all. I do want to talk to y'all about some things. So I do apologize about being a little bit behind. I had to send an email. I've been waiting for a long time actually on some information, and they finally emailed me. So I was trying to get that email sent back. So I do. Wolfie, hi. Team Krama. Nice to meet you. Thank you for being here. I do have some information on Travis Decker, and I have some information on the Madeline McCain story. Let me see. Let's go ahead and pull up Travis Decker information. I do believe that they're closing in on him. We'll go ahead and get right into it. Okay. Hold on just a minute. Okay. So this article is going to be from KIRO7, and it was released last night at 5:09. And it says Chilean County officials say search teams have picked up the trail of who they believe was Travis Decker in the Blewett Pass area. While no one has been taken in, they urge the public to remain alert and report tips. Quote, there's trails that can connect all the way past Wenatchee and everything else. So it's like if you live anywhere around here and you never know where someone like that can wind up, unquote, said Chris Rimby, who lives in Wenatchee. He says it's been scary knowing Decker could still be close by. Here, let's look at the video. That's what I was looking for. Hold on. Let me turn the volume up.
They may have seen Decker in Chelan County. Authorities confirming this afternoon they may have seen Decker in the Enchantments.
Hey, Lori.
He is the man accused of killing his 3 daughters. So take a look here. This is his picture. Investigators are urging anyone in the area, including hikers, to be just extra vigilant and call if they have seen anything suspicious on the trail recently.
Well, tonight we have team coverage as authorities close in. We're starting with Brooke Griffin, who is live in Peshastin, with an exclusive look into this now growing manhunt. Brooke?
Yeah, it's been an incredibly long day for those officers. In fact, within the last 30 minutes or so, pretty much all of them went home. Most of them were from King County. They say they are headed back to King County tonight. They have been tapped out. They said this was a really long day for them, but I want to show you exactly why it was a long day for them. This is the area of Ingalls Creek that they've been searching in. Now, again, just like you said, they were here because hikers tipped them off a few days ago. You can see some of those officers actually leaving right now.
So from what I understand, there was hikers on the trail in the woods, and they said they saw a man who looked ill and emaciated, which means basically needing food, possibly water, walking. And so they alerted sheriff's office, and they've been searching the area for him.
So we still have a few people that are coming out. They are finishing their long day and trying to get home. This has been an incredibly hot day as well. Now, I do want to say this was all because those hikers saw the lone hiker in the encampments. They say that person was acting suspicious, and then whenever the authorities tried to fly a helicopter over the lone hiker, that person then ran from them. So they chased them all the way over to this area. This is the Ingalls Creek area. They truly say, they tell me, they felt like today was the day. They felt like they had him, but that was just not the case. Now, within the past few minutes, I again spoke with King County deputies. They say that this search has now officially been turned back over to the federal authorities. So Homeland Security, Border Patrol, you name it, they're all out here along with Chelan and Spokane County. They're taking over for the night. So just because King County went home, the search is not over. They're still going to be in this area. They say they're going to have this search going for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
So that's interesting. I hadn't heard the part about where they flew a helicopter over and then the person ran from them. That definitely makes me think it's Travis Decker as well. So basically, any time now they could find him and the search could be over.
Until they bring Travis Decker in. But again, unfortunately, they say they did not catch him today. We are still working on getting more information. As soon as we have that, we'll get it out to you. Live in Peshastin, Brooke Griffin, Cryo 7 News.
Not the conclusion they wanted to see today, Brooke, but we know they'll keep looking. Thank you for your report.
Meanwhile, lock your doors, stay vigilant. That is the main message to residents from law enforcement in Chelan County as they continue to look for Decker. Cryo 7 Samantha Low-Mebow has been talking to people who live in that search area. Samantha, they must be really on edge.
I mean, I think anybody would be, considering he committed homicide on his 3 young daughters that he seemed to adore.
It's definitely had a lot of uncertainty with not knowing where Travis Decker is, but there is some reassurance knowing that law enforcement has been out here staying vigilant and telling these homes like the one you're seeing right on Highway 97 to keep an eye out, because honestly, the community is afraid and they're holding on to each other to get through all of this. Now, like I said, there's a lot of homes that surround this heavily forested area in the Ingalls Creek in the Valley High neighborhood. Residents since last night here in this area I've been told to keep an eye out. Even the main Highway 97 has signs up telling people to not pick up hitchhikers, with Decker believed to still be around this area. And I talked to a woman who says it's been tough knowing Decker is still on the loose.
I think everyone is just a little on edge, especially the residents up here. So the sooner the better, to see if we can keep moving ahead.
And like you heard from Brooke, this search is going on. They're going to have an increased police presence throughout this area for the foreseeable future. But how Decker's disappearance is really impacting this small community, well, that's coming up tonight at 7 o'clock. Live in Peshastin, Samantha Low-Mebow, Cryo 7 News.
Clearly a lot of raw nerves out.
Hey, Gigi and JDR, in the article that I read about Madeleine McCain in the video, it says that it's animal clothing from what I've heard. But there's a letter where her alleged killer is taunting police. Excuse me. Lord, I'll get it together in a minute.
There. Thanks a lot, Samantha. Now, we are staying in Chelan County and closely watching the situation for the latest developments. And the moment we learn anything new, we will let you know.
So, evidently, KIRO 7 will have information on the case as soon as we find out anything. Continuing the article, he says, it's been scary knowing Decker could still be close by, as well as armed and dangerous. Quote, if he's unaccounted for, you don't want him coming in. Who knows? I mean, to do that to somebody you know and love, what do you think you would do to somebody who he doesn't know? You know what I mean? Rimbry said. Homes in the Valley High and Ingalls Creek area are being asked to stay on high alert and lock their doors. Quote, I think everyone is just a little on edge, especially the residents up there, so the sooner the better, see if we can keep moving ahead, unquote, said Cindy, who lives nearby. Continuing the article, law enforcement officers from across the country are continuing the intensive manhunt for Travis Decker, the suspect wanted in connection with the homicides of Evelyn, Peyton, and Olivia, whose bodies were found on June 2nd, 2025. The Chelan County Sheriff's Office said in an update Tuesday that Decker may be in the Blewett Pass Highway 97 area. The public, particularly those who live in or own cabins nearby, are being asked to stay vigilant, report suspicious activities, lock doors and vehicles, and check trail cameras. The search gained new momentum after a hiking group reported seeing a lone hiker in the encampments who appeared to be unprepared for the terrain and weather and seemed to be avoiding contact with others. A helicopter team later spotted someone matching the description near Kolchuk Lake. The individual ran upon seeing the aircraft. Tracking teams deployed to the area and eventually followed the trail to the Ingalls Creek trailhead on Highway 97. K-9 units were used to continue the tracking efforts. Over 100 officers broke up the search into manageable grids to look for Decker. By 5 p.m., all crews with the King County Sheriff's Office had left the search. Although Decker was not found, deputies said they will continue to search in the Ingalls area with the help of Spokane County. So they're still looking for him. Usually someone thinks it's all a setup. Yeah, I'm thinking it must be scary. How could his 3 deceased daughters and him being on the run a setup? I mean, if he's in a heightened state of awareness, okay, so he had borderline personality disorder, and if he snapped and did something, especially considering that they said he had been to Afghanistan. I don't know if he was fighting over there or what, and he has ranger training. If he's out of his head and thinks he's still in Afghanistan, I mean, that's the only thing I could think of as to why he would hurt his own children, if he's thinking that they're somebody else's children or they're the enemy, basically, and is in a mindset that he's in Afghanistan trying to avoid being detected and things like that. I don't think that it was necessarily a setup. But I think the quicker he can be found and evaluated mentally, the better. Hey, Jeremiah. Grown male blood and animal blood. I heard it was animal blood on the tailgate. Okay. Authorities are now asking anyone who hiked in the encampments in the past week to report any unusual sightings. Solo hikers are also urged to check in with law enforcement to help narrow leads and eliminate any confusion. The U.S. Marshals Service has taken command of the manhunt and is offering a reward of up to $20,000 for information that leads directly to Decker's arrest. He is considered armed and dangerous. Anyone who sees Decker is advised to call 911 immediately and not approach him. So, I had another one, but I think it says basically the same thing. Oh yeah, this one looked like we had a comment from the sheriff, so I was going to play that real quick and see what it says. Okay, no, we need volume. Hold on.
Consider him to be a threat towards the community. Not this time, but based off the allegations that are being made against him, we do consider him to be a threat towards the community. We also ask the community to stay out of the Icicle Gorge area for the time being until we can secure that area and ensure that he is not there. And we will not rest until Travis is located. Travis, if you're listening, this is your opportunity to turn yourself in. Do the right thing, do what you need to do, and take accountability for your actions. We're not going to go away, we're not going to rest, and we're going to make sure we find you. You will be brought to justice. Those young ladies deserve it.
Okay, so hold on.
Hey, Upstate.
No, not today. Somebody implied that Travis may be being set up. If Travis, okay, so, we're very open to everybody's thoughts, opinions, and speculations. So what would be the theory behind Travis being set up? I can't quite make that make sense in my head. Like, who would be setting him up and why, if that was the case? How is he eating for survival? Trees, foraging, basically. There's lots of things you could eat in the woods. Plus, blackberries are coming into season, so that might be up there. I think he had a flashback, if I had to guess. He's trained, though. He could probably build a cabin and fridge and have 7-course meals with a Swiss Army knife. Right. I don't know if he had other things to help him survive. Travis Decker is his name. Considering like there was bloody handprints found on the tailgate and he committed the homicide of his daughters and then basically ran into the woods. I don't think that he set anything up. I don't think it was planned necessarily. I think he kind of broke from reality. So this one says law enforcement officials say they have tracked the subject they believe to be Travis Decker, the father suspected of killing his 3 daughters after receiving a tip from local hikers. Tracking teams now believe they are on Decker's trail, the Chelan County Sheriff's Office said in a media release. Officials said the subject believed to be Decker has been tracked to the Blewett Pass Highway 97 area. The sheriff's office received a tip from a third party of hikers who said they saw a lone hiker and appeared to be ill prepared for trail and weather conditions in the enchantments area. The party also reported that the hiker appeared to be avoiding others. I want to see the media release, so let me try to grab that real quick. Hold on just a minute. Like, I want to see the whole thing. Okay. This one is from King 5 Seattle, and it's from 16 hours ago. So we'll watch this, and then we'll start talking.
We have new information.
Then we'll get into Madeline McCain. Hold on. Okay. Hey, Cracker Jacks. Borderline personality disorder develops in adolescence. It's not a disorder that develops in adulthood. He most likely had other diagnoses. He's got complex PTSD. I remember reading that, which is directing his behavior. People with bipolar, I keep wanting to say bipolar, borderline personality disorder are not psychopaths. I hope I did not imply that, and if I did, I sincerely apologize. I just, again, it can, okay, he's got complex PTSD plus the borderline personality disorder plus the Afghanistan and possibility of having flashbacks. I think it's all of these things combined that created a cocktail for what happened, honestly. Hey, Janice. Hey, one sunny day. In my opinion, if the hiker said ill prepared, doesn't seem like it would have been him, not with him being special ops. That's true, but I'm thinking he's not, like, he doesn't have anything on him. Even with special ops, they have their backpacks that have like survival food and things like that. He could probably live off of the grid for a certain period of time, but if he's broke with reality and he's thinking he's somewhere that he's not, he's going to be thinking about the way to survive in that area and things to forage in that area. And if he thinks he's like in Afghanistan or something and he's not finding what grows there and how to survive in that area, then he's all confused on top of being confused, and he doesn't have his pack with him, would be my thought. Okay. So we'll watch this real quick and see what they said.
We have new information just in as to what led searchers to this particular area. We were told that a group of hikers saw a man on a trail here in the enchantments. He didn't look like he was prepared to hike. He was by himself and he was avoiding people. They called authorities. The authorities launched a helicopter, actually spotted that man. They've been looking for him ever since. The once cold trail now appears to be growing hotter. As police helicopters swarm the skies, people on the ground are left worrying and wondering what's going on.
We had an emergency alert on everybody's cell phone that Travis was somewhere in this area.
Around 9:15 last night, Chelan County sent out cell phone alerts advising people living here to secure their doors and windows. Travis Decker, charged with murdering his 3 young daughters last month, on the run and possibly close by. There has been no further word from authorities, but we have obtained the first photos from deep inside the rugged mountain search zone. Snohomish County Special Operations are assisting. Here,
I can't believe there's still snow in the area. Blue Jay, I would love to know where you heard that. Blue Jay said, I heard that getting back together with his wife was turned down days before he took his daughter's lives. Could be the reason he did what he done. That's interesting. I would need to verify it, but it would give me an idea, maybe a possible motive, because I mean, he didn't sign the parenting agreement that we went over. All the court documents we've obtained and talked about and read, it seemed like, yeah, he wanted to get back with her. It seemed like he was devastated at the loss of his wife and not being able to be in his girls' lives every day, to the point that he was homeless and losing his jobs. Yeah, I would love to know where you found that so I could verify it. I don't find it hard to believe, though.
You see them armed, hiking up snowy terrain, and deploying a deputy from a helicopter.
We didn't hear
this
anything.
couple,
We didn't
on
see
vacation from Squim, finding themselves in the middle of a manhunt.
I don't want to stay outside too long. I don't know where this guy's moving around.
The search area is about 15 miles as the crow flies from the campground where Decker is believed to have suffocated his children. The circles on this FlightAware map show the search centered in the areas around Valley High, Ingalls Creek, and Allen Lane. By foot, Decker would have to traverse several mountains, but he is a former Army Ranger with extensive tactical training. Travis Decker hasn't been seen since at least May 30th, 12 days. The question tonight, are his days truly numbered?
Kind of unsettling. Plus, you didn't want to be out here if it was dark. You didn't want to be walking around. You don't know what's going to happen.
So it's been 12 days from what they said, I do believe. And if he, again, yeah, I mean, if he was like deployed, he would at least have his backpack, and he doesn't even have that, so I don't know. Like, yeah, he could live off grid for up to, what did they say, 2.5 months or something like that. But again, I would think that's with some kind of tools, knives. I mean, you at least would need paracord and a knife to survive out there. And a water filtration system would be ideal, but there is snow. So, hey, Kimmy C123, good to see you. It has a 10% suicidal rate and accounts for most people in hospital. It's often accompanied with other diagnoses like OCD, anorexia, and depression. I think he definitely had a depression on another YouTuber stream. You have to be careful about that stuff. Dragon Airborne, I'm sorry. So I know a lot about Special Forces. Rangers are one of the deadliest next to Green Berets. He was trying to be a Green Beret. Thank you for your service, Jeremiah. You served with Rangers? Well, thank you for your service. And they are next level. So it could account for as why he survived up to 12 days without anything. I mean, I don't even think he has paracord or knife or anything. And, I mean, maybe water filtration would be okay with the snow, but no way to start a fire, like nothing. I'm not saying it's impossible, but you would at least want a knife and paracord. That's what, you know, we have all that stuff in bug out bags and things, just, you know, for hurricanes and things like that. Hey, Kara, good to see you.
If you've seen a lone hiker who looked out of place on a trail here in the enchantments, you're asked to call the Chelan Sheriff's Office. Also, if you've been a lone hiker here in the enchantments, they'd like you to call them as well so they can rule you out as a suspect. Along Highway 97 near Leavenworth, Eric Wilkinson, King 5 News.
Expert mold. Hold on.
Tonight, the search continues for.
Says experts mold Decker's possible escape path. I would like to know what that says. When is that from? That's from 3 days ago. So this was maybe before he was sighted, but we'll watch it real quick.
Travis Decker. He is accused of killing his 3 young daughters. Peyton, Evelyn, and Olivia Decker were found dead on Monday near a campground near Leavenworth. Late today, the Chelan County Sheriff's Office said it will be removing roadblocks and opening Icicle River Road. They say there is no credible threat in that area, but they're still asking the public to remain vigilant in recreation areas of Chelan County. But where exactly is Travis Decker tonight? King 5's Alex McGloon tells us about the conditions Decker may be facing in the wilderness.
Yeah, Christine, from Chelan County to here in Seattle and the rest of the world, people are talking about Travis Decker. So we interviewed experts and others this week about what he's up against. Roadblocks around the enchantment.
So this is going to give us an idea of what he might be ill prepared for out there. And then my other concern is basically his break with reality. If he is broken from reality, that's like a huge thing. No matter, like, how trained you are. If he's broken from reality and is not mentally stable, which obviously he isn't, that's a huge thing as far as surviving, regardless of how well trained you are, in my opinion.
Are lifted, but how close is Travis Decker?
I'm surprised they haven't caught him by now or found his body.
An expert says Decker's Army Ranger training can help him survive longer than civilians.
Depending on how long he planned this, he could have stashed food and other survival gear up there. Again, this is all supposition. We just don't know.
Time is limited. Experts point to a guiding principle called the Rule of Threes.
You can survive, roughly 3 hours without a regulated body temperature before hypothermia can do you in, roughly 3 days without water before it becomes lethal, and roughly 3 weeks without food before starvation starts to become a problem.
Director Jason Knight says survival gets harder as time goes on.
Even the best survivalists struggle with getting enough of the right foods over the long term.
Cabin resident Dean Summers took us past the prior road closure this week. He showed us some of his neighbors are leaving their doors open. He says he's afraid of Decker using unoccupied cabins to his advantage.
I'm sorry, I got sidetracked. Jeremiah, I don't think he was a sniper. They said he went to Ranger school and he did a march in Europe, I think Italy, in one of the documents that we read. Yeah, never eat yellow snow. The snow could be melted down and you could drink it pretty easily. But I don't know much else about that. Now, as far as preparing to do this, I don't think he prepared. I really don't. I don't see him killing his children. And then trying to go. I mean, I just don't. I don't think he's prepared. I don't think it was ever supposed to happen. I think he broke. This is all speculation. We cannot know what this man was experiencing because we weren't there and no one has spoken to him since. Yes, thank you, Sarah. I don't think he was in the front line, but I'm not sure. Yeah, don't eat yellow snow. Have you, Anders?
Summers believes Decker could have tucked himself into the hillsides, where there's plenty of caves, water, and animals.
How easy was it to spend a night outdoors here?
Oh, in the winter, the winter is really hard. In the summer, you could live out here forever. There's plenty of deer every day going up and down this road here.
Law enforcement say morale is high. Trails have reopened, but the Chelan County Sheriff's Office says you should remain vigilant if you venture out into recreational areas.
He could be on that Pacific Crest Trail that runs right up into Canada.
Yeah.
But there are border people on both sides of the border there. That seems like a long shot to me that he would be able to make it to Canada, especially apparently without a car, as far as we know. I know they'll be looking at stolen cars in the area if there are any. I think that's kind of a long shot.
The Sheriff's Office is asking Chelan County residents to review their doorbell cameras and security cameras. New tips have helped investigators chase new leads through search warrants. Reporting live, Alex McClune, King 5 News.
Travis, if you're listening.
Okay, when was this? Because that was what I was looking for. That's 2 days ago. So that might be the presser I've been looking for. I suppose we'll watch that too. Hey, Irene. So Blue Jay, as far as looking and being able to hunt animals and get them, first of all, in order to kill a deer, he would have to fasten some kind of like bow and arrow if he doesn't have any kind of firearm, and then he would have to cook it. I mean, yeah, you would want to cook any animal. I suppose he could eat some fish raw if he could catch one. You would need string and to fashion some kind of hook. And then if you build a fire, there's going to be smoke, but he's probably trained in keeping all that under control. So I don't know. I would think that if he had built a fire, that the smoke would be seen. But again, I'm not sure. That's my thoughts. You guys can tell me what you think about it. So we're going to see if this is the presser we've been looking for.
This is your opportunity to turn yourself in. Do the right thing, do what you need to do, and take accountability for your actions. We're not going to go away, we're not going to rest, and we're going to make sure we find you. You will be brought to justice.
In our spotlight this morning, we're talking about the unspeakable deaths of 3 beautiful little sisters and the massive manhunt that's going on right now for their dad. He is believed to have murdered them. Authorities in central Washington state released these new surveillance photos of Travis Decker over the weekend. They say he's been on the run ever since his children were found dead at a campground when they were with him. 5-year-old Olivia, 8-year-old Evelyn, and 9-year-old Peyton were discovered a week ago. Decker had them for visitation, but never brought them home to their mom. And then authorities found his abandoned truck.
The initial information that we were provided following the locating of the vehicle was that the vehicle was unoccupied. And shortly thereafter, we were advised that the bodies of the 3 young girls had been located in relatively close proximity to that vehicle. And Travis was nowhere to be found.
Now, this is ring camera footage of Decker, previously served in the Army. He has extensive survival training. So the question we're asking this morning, how are they going to find this guy? We want to bring in now a former Army intelligence officer. He's also a private investigator and served in the NYPD as well, Manuel Gomez. And with him, criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor Mario Gallucci. Good morning.
So we'll get an idea of what they're looking at, but I don't know how much information they'll be able to provide. We'll see.
To you both. Manuel, let me start with you, please. How will these men and women in law enforcement work to capture this guy safely?
Thank you, Woofy, for dropping in, and I hope you have a good day, sweetheart. Yeah, I think it's fresh water. It would be okay to drink. Well, I think he would. Anders said he should give himself up. Does he really think he can be on the run for the rest of his life? Some people have done it.
Not that the governor Ferguson has authorized the use of Air National Guard helicopters and attack helicopters, which have thermal imaging, which can pick up his body and also pick up his heat signature at night, we have a better chance. But the problem with this case is you have a guy here who's completely combat trained. And unfortunately, he's one of my brothers. I was in the 18th Airborne, and he belonged to the 503rd Airborne Combat Team. And so we're trained identically alike. So I understand that he has a 3-day head start. A guy like this in the woods, we're required to do a minimum of 10 to 15 miles a day. That means he has a 30 to 45 mile head start. And remember, Julie, the location he was at is called the Pacific Crest Trail, which leads straight into Canada, and there's multiple access points. My belief is that he's already there.
He's in.
Okay, so this is an old broadcast. You think it's him, Jeremiah? I really want to help you with that. So let me go back to my Gmail. I have sent myself all of the articles I've read on it. And I will pull up the one that talks about his Army training. Hold on. I gotta find it real quick. Yep, here it is. Okay, so we're gonna look at this article because it tells me where he served at, what brigade he was in. Okay. We'll watch this real quick, and then it tells me in the article the brigade he was in and all of that.
If you want to be a nurse and you want to...
Hold on, they got to do a daggum advertisement.
PI University.
Our coverage continues now with Fox 13's Alejandra
So
Guzman. Everyone is anxiously trying to learn more about Travis Decker.
Yeah, so Ali, you've been in contact
Hey,
with somebody
curious.
who was in the same Army platoon as Travis Decker. So what are they telling you?
Well, they're sharing quite a bit. I can tell you that there's more clarity now as to who he is, his personality these last few years, and some of his recent behavior following this tragedy. Now, the individual who I've been speaking with does want to remain anonymous, but they did share these images images of Decker back from 2017 after they were finishing a march in Europe. The two were in the same squad, in the same platoon, in the same company, while they were stationed together in the 503rd Airborne Brigade combat team with the 173rd Airborne in Italy. They tell me Decker was kicked out of Ranger Regiment for failing Ranger School. Now, many of you have been questioning whether or not he was a Ranger. We've all seen some of the same photos of Decker in his uniform with a Ranger patch, but according to my source, he wasn't, because after getting kicked out, that's when Decker was transferred to their platoon, and that's where they shared a little bit more about who he was, just saying that he was a fit but quiet guy, sort of an outcast, yet a hard worker and a bit of a narcissist. They told me by this time, Decker and Whitney already had their firstborn, Peyton. Decker eventually did warm up to his comrades, sharing that he aspired to be like his father and talked about getting back to Special Forces, but they say he never did.
It's hard to hear, but I'm going to read the article in just a second.
They say it was like Decker had some big shoes to fill. From what they know, his father was a Green Beret and he worshipped him. They did remain friends on social media, but they say that after these murder and kidnapping accusations, well, Decker actually deleted all of his videos and pictures and started unfollowing the majority of those who were in his company. Now, again, the loss of Peyton, Olivia, and Evelyn are hitting his teammates hard. They say that everyone who served with Decker is feeling betrayed and are distraught to learn of what has happened. That's the latest. Back to you.
Okay, I'm going to read it to you. It's hard to hear. They might have gotten it wrong. It says, Seattle, Washington, as new detail. Now, this has been several days ago that it was released, so I do want to give y'all a heads up about that before I read this article. Seattle, Washington. As new details continue to unfold in the case against Travis Decker, Fox 13 has learned more about the man at the center of the tragic killings of his three daughters, Peyton, Olivia, and Evelyn. A former Army squad mate of Decker's shared insight into Decker's military past and recent behavior on the condition of anonymity. The backstory: the two served together in 2017 as part of the 503rd Infantry Regiment, 173rd Airborne Brigade combat team while stationed in Italy. The source provided photos of Decker taken that year, showing him just after completing a long march in Europe. And there's that picture and that picture that was shared of him from his Army mate. The former squad mate described Decker as being quiet, a bit of an outcast, yet a hard worker and somewhat of a narcissist. Before joining the 503rd, Decker had reportedly been removed from the elite Ranger Regiment after failing to complete Ranger School. Despite public photos circulating of Decker in uniform with a Ranger tab, the source said he wasn't a Ranger. The teammate recalls Decker joining the unit in Italy and meeting Whitney, who had already welcomed their first child, Peyton. According to the source, Decker spoke often about wanting to follow his father's footsteps. His father was a Green Beret, and he expressed a desire to return to Special Forces, though he never did. The squad member says it felt like Decker had something to prove, saying he talked about his dad a lot. He worshipped him. The two remained loosely connected on social media after their time in the military, but in the days following the homicide accusations, the source said Decker deleted nearly all his posts, photos, videos, and unfollowed most of his former comrades. Now, with the deaths of Decker's three young daughters making national headlines, those who once served alongside him are reeling. Quote, all of us who served with him feel betrayed and are beyond distraught with the news, unquote, the teammate said. The case remains under investigation. So that's what I have on it. That's all I found. Yeah, it might have been Green Beret training. Hey, Steph. Nice to meet you. Good to see you. Hey, Abraham. No dog. Yeah, no, absolutely not. No Dog the Bounty Hunter in here. To be a Ranger Airborne is already past Ranger School. I wonder if it was Green Beret training. It might have been. Okay. Thank you, Abellis. I'll check it now. I wanted to see if there was any update because I'm going to try to keep you guys updated as much as I can. But I don't see anything updated on him. Let me check my email real quick and see what Abellis just sent me on Jack and Lily. Do. And then we'll talk about Battled. Okay, I'll have to wait a minute. So we'll go ahead and go to Madeline for right now. I will double check that Abellis and get back to it. Okay, so first I'm going to show you kind of a backstory of Madeline McCain. I'm aware you can't see it right now. I'm going to pull it up. Yeah, Abellis has been helping me a lot. She sent me a bunch of stuff. So, yeah, I found a couple of things on Madeline McCain I want to share with you. I did make a video. First, I want to remind you as to who she is. We can do this one. And then we'll talk about the new information. Let me try to... Hold on. So this is going to go into basically both sides of it. A lot of people think the parents had something to do with it, and a lot of people believe that the person who has been arrested is the one who did it. I would love to know what you guys think and feel about this situation. Hold on, there's going to be an echo for a minute. Let me tell you how far back this was. This was from 4 years ago, so we're going 4 years back, and then we're going to go into the new information I have found about it. Hey, Veronica, I'm so glad you are here, and Kate believes it was the guy that was arrested. Abellis, I keep checking, but I haven't seen anything yet. Did you just send it, or was it sent in a previous email? Joy said always the parents. Okay. Well, because I don't, that's a good question. Why does the German prosecutor want to get involved in this? I think it could be because of who the suspect is, but I'm not positive.
The key to the case.
Oh my goodness. She was so pretty. She was identifiable by her eye. And I talk about it in the video where I go over the articles that have just been released. She was such a cute baby. I mean, I don't know. I found that statement just now kind of odd. She was really compact with a perfect round head. Like, to be fair, I read in the article that she was in obstetrics and gynecology, but still, I guess that's a doctor in her speaking. That was a kind of odd statement to me, though. Person who is accused of doing this is a real piece of work, and he's set to get out of prison in September. He actually sent a letter we're going to talk about to the police, taunting them about how he's going to get out in September because they have no evidence. I did get the email, Abellis, thank you. We will go over it, and I'll probably make a video about it, a short video after the live. Veronica said, I will always judge them for leaving them alone every night to go out drinking with their friends and trying to check on them every now and then when they could afford a nanny. I agree. If you left your children in the U.S., you'd have DCF up your rear end. Unacceptable. I agree. Imagine the guilt the parents feel for leaving her alone as she slept. Poor Madeline. That's another good point. Thank you for pointing that out, bad girl. It is hard. But I've always found that not good either. Because I just sent myself the images, how far away they were. So their apartment was right here by the street where it says in blue McCann's apartment. Their apartment's right here. There's a street that's nearby. So they go out this door here, up the walkway, and then across the pool, and they're at this bar right here. I don't know, the measurement is about maybe 1 inch is 20 meters, so maybe about 60 to 80 meters. Correct me if I'm wrong. And then again, here is another picture. There is the apartment. They were on ground level. You can see the road here. and they had to come out the front, maybe go across this pool area or walk up right here, and they were at the bar. So they were across the pool, and they were sending people to check on them every 30 minutes, as far as I know. Yeah, the bar was on the hotel property, because you have the pool that is there with the pool, like this is the resort, and then the pool is there with the resort, and then there's a little smaller pool here. There's tennis courts, and there's the bar. So it's all on the same like area of property right here. Okay, so let's close out of that and go back to this. Hold on. Okay. I don't want to be too harsh, but I agree with you. My daughter, my oldest daughter, was born. I had her in 2007, and I was 19 years old. And I would have never, ever thought for a second to leave her alone with her step siblings in the same room. I mean, I just, and yeah, they're practicing physicians. Like, yeah, somebody should have stayed behind while they went and dined, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. But I mean, even if we want to talk about the time period, I had my daughter during that time period, and I would have never, ever done that. Ever. I mean, you just don't do that, especially at that age. Like, if there was a teenager in the apartment, if you had a child that was 14, 15 years old sitting with them, and you still came back and checked every 30 minutes, maybe, but not that young. Absolutely not. Am I back? Yeah, it was a violation. They struck me. Apologize about that. Let me know if y'all hear me. Okay. So we'll go on to, I was trying to show y'all real quick the images of the room. Hold on, I'll show you that. I've got an article that gives us the timeline. But yeah, they're ridiculous. Hold on. Oh. Never mind. I'll show you from the articles that we have. Okay, let me grab the article on it. I'll just have to read it to you. Doo-doo-doo. Sorry that it got interrupted. Okay. Bermuda. Bahama. Come on, pretty. Okay. So this is Madeline McCain disappearance, a timeline. 3-year-old Madeline McCain vanished from a Portuguese holiday apartment 18 years ago. In the intervening years, a huge, costly police operation has taken place across much of Europe, and Madeline has become one of the most high-profile missing people. Madeline's parents, Kate and Jerry, say all they have ever wanted is to find their daughter. Now, German police investigating her disappearance are holding fresh searches in Portugal. So in 2007, there's a picture of the apartment where they were at, and you can see how it's surrounded by the street. Okay, perfect. Thank you. These nuts. Good to see you. I'm glad you're here. It says on May 3rd, Madeline from Rothley, Leicestershire, is on holiday with her family at the Oceans Club in Para de Luz, Portugal. Her parents go for dinner with a group of friends at a restaurant in the complex. Madeline and her younger brother and sister, twins, stay in the apartment 100 yards away. The adults have devised a rota system to check on all their children during the evening. When it is the turn of Kate McCain, she discovers her daughter Madeline has gone. Police are called and staff and guests at the complex search for her until daybreak. Border police and airport staff are put on alert, and hundreds of volunteers join efforts to find Madeline in the following days. On May 12th, the McCains say, quote, they cannot describe their anguish and despair, unquote, they are feeling. Portuguese police say they believe Madeline was abducted but still alive in Portugal. On the 26th of May, police issue a description of a man seen on the night of Madeline's disappearance, possibly carrying a child. Let me see what y'all are saying. Yeah, that was a terrible system, in my opinion. In June, a Portuguese police chief admits vital forensic clues may have been destroyed as the scene was not protected properly. In July, British police send sniffer dogs to assist the investigation, and inspections of the McCain's apartment and rental car are conducted. By August, it is 100 days since Madeline disappeared. Investigating officers publicly acknowledged that she may not be found alive. On the 6th of September, Portuguese police interview Kate McCain as a witness. On the 7th, detectives make the couple arguidos and days, which is suspect status, and days later the McCains return to the UK. Prosecutors later say there is no new evidence to justify re-questioning them. Gary McCain releases a video in November saying he believes his family was watched by a predator in the days before his daughter's disappearance. 2008, there's a picture of them. On the 20th of January, the McCains released sketches of a suspect based on a description by British holiday maker of creepy man seen at the resort. In April, Portuguese police fly to the UK to sit in on interviews conducted by Leicestershire police of the McCains' friends they had dinner with on the night Madeline disappeared. On the 3rd of May, 1 year since the disappearance, Kate McCain urges people to pray like mad for her little girl. By July, Portuguese police say they have submitted their final report on the case. Weeks later, authorities shelved their investigation and lift the suspect status of the McCains. 2009 and 2010, we get an age-progressed photograph of Madeline. Yeah, I couldn't leave without my daughter either. On the 3rd of November, new images of how Madeline might now look are released. In March 2010, the McCains criticized the release of previously unseen Portuguese police files detailing possible sightings of Madeline to British newspapers. A month later, in April, Jerry McCain says it's incredibly frustrating that police in Portugal and the UK had not been actively looking for his daughter, quote, for a very long time. In November, the couple signed a publishing deal to write a book about Madeline's disappearance. And now we're at 2011. The McCain's book, Madeline, is released in May. Prime Minister David Cameron asked the Metropolitan Police to help investigate. A 2-year review follows. 2012. Detective Redwood, the detective leading the UK review of Madeline's disappearance, tells an April broadcast of the BBC's Panorama his team is seeking to bring closure to the case. A computer-generated image of what Madeline might look like, age 9, is released a day before Portuguese authorities say they are not reopening their investigation. That's a sketch of the man seen carrying a child outside the hotel that night toward the beach. In May, UK detectives reviewing the case say they have identified a number of persons of interest. By July, Scotland Yard announces it has new evidence and new witnesses in the case, opens a formal investigation. By October, Scotland Yard detectives say they have identified 41 potential suspects. A BBC Crime Watch appeal features e-fit images of a man seen carrying a blonde-haired child of 3 or 4 in Praia de Luz at about the time Madeline went missing. Portuguese police reopened their investigation to run alongside Scotland Yard, citing, quote, new lines of inquiry. 2014, in January, British detectives fly to Portugal amid claims they are planning to make arrests. In June, searches in Praia de Luz are carried out, including an area of scrubland situated southwest of the Ocean Club complex. It yields nothing. A month later, in July, 4 suspects are quizzed by police, but no new developments emerge. 2015 to 2019 is where we're at now. Pat Brown was so involved. Crazy. She made sense. She did look like a little princess, Vera. In September 2019, the British government disclosed that the investigation has cost more than £10 million. In April 2017, the 4 official suspects investigated by police are ruled out of the investigation, but senior officers say they are pursuing a, quote, significant line of inquiry. In June 2019, the UK government says it will fund the Met Police inquiry, which began in 2011 until March 2020. So this is a picture in 2020 of Portugal, and this is a property linked to suspect when he was in the area of 2007. Property suspect lived during his time in the area. So he's in 2 different properties right here. A year later, in June 2020, police revealed that 43-year-old German prisoner named by German media as Christian B has been identified as a suspect. The McCains thanked police, saying all we ever wanted was to find her, uncover the truth, and bring those responsible to justice. Quote, we will never give up hope of finding Madeline alive, but whatever the outcome may be, we need to know as well as we need to find peace. German investigators have classed it as a murder inquiry and saying they are assuming that Madeline is deceased. The UK's Metropolitan Police says it has received more than 270 calls and emails since a new appeal for information was launched on Wednesday. Now we're at 2022. In April of 2022, a German man is declared an official suspect by Portuguese prosecutors investigating the case. Christian Bruckner, then 45, is made suspect, although Portuguese authorities do not formally reveal the suspect's name. In 2023, the McCain family marked the 16th anniversary of Madeline's disappearance on the 3rd of May 2023, saying she is still very much missed and they await a breakthrough. Later that month, a Portuguese news website reports that an area near a reservoir about 30 miles from Praia da Luz has been sealed off. Police say they will begin searching the Arde Dam on May 23rd, but the search ends after 3 days. In October, Portuguese police apologized to the McCains, saying the investigation into Madeline's disappearance was not handled properly. There was insufficient importance given at the time to missing children, and that her parents' position as foreigners in an environment they did not understand was not appreciated. In 2025, so this year, in April, the UK government approved more than £100,000 in additional funding for Scotland Yard detectives to investigate Madeline's disappearance. A month later, in May, the McCain family marked 18 years since her disappearance, saying their determination to leave no stone unturned is unwavering. In the same month, it emerged chief suspect in Madeline's disappearance, Christian Bruckner, who is serving a sentence for sexually assaulting an elderly American woman in Praia da Luz in 2005, is set to be released from prison in Germany later than originally scheduled, according to his lawyer. He is due to be released in September, or if he does not pay a fine, early 2026. On the 3rd of June, on June 3rd, fresh searches led by German police start in Portugal between Praia da Luz and Lagos. The area being searched are close to a ramshackle dwelling where Bruckner lived at the time of Madeline's disappearance. So now, we are going to go into the video that I made on this subject that gives us information about the search and what the letters said that they found in his jail cell. So, let me pull that up. I'll skip the recap in the video because we just did that. So, hold on just a minute. Hello, I found some. All right, where are my timestamps? This article was released so as of last night when I was recording this article was released an hour ago. So it was released early last night. The new information. This article was released an hour ago. It is from news.com.au and it reads, bone and clothing fragments reportedly sent to forensics in search for Madeleine McCann. Police involved in the latest hunt for Madeleine McCann have sent bone and clothing fragments uncovered in Portugal for testing.
Well, a new search operation to find Madeleine McCann near where she disappeared 18 years ago is ongoing. Investigators are focusing on an area between a resort in Portugal and one of the houses of the suspect, Christian Bruckner.
Shifting rubble, cutting through dense shrubland, the search is well underway. They are looking for any clues that lead to Madeleine McCann's whereabouts.
Well, this is one of 3 of the derelict farm buildings which we've seen police searching on day 2. They've been emptying buckets of rubble from inside the buildings and they've been using chainsaws in dense undergrowth as well.
With the rubble cleared, there are reports ground-penetrating radar will scan these floors. But 18 years on from when she went missing, police won't comment on just what intelligence has brought them back.
This is the sort of shrubland that they'll be searching while they conduct their investigation into the disappearance and, they're also saying, the murder of Madeleine McCann. You can see a couple of police forensic tents just further away.
Police involved in the latest search for Madeleine McCann have sent bone and clothing fragments uncovered in Portugal for testing, reports in Germany claim. The 3-day search had widely been labeled a flop after authorities appeared to leave the site next to Praia da Luz empty-handed last week, the Sun reports. But eagle-eyed police did find tiny fragments, which they are speculating could have links to Maddie after prime suspect Christian Bruckner, 38, camped at the site. The samples have now been sent to Germany for testing amid hopes they could finally reveal the forensic link cops are missing on the case. But Cracker Jack said, I think the biggest clue that evening was the sight of a man carrying a small child who appeared to be asleep down towards the beach. And I think so too. And that goes into the speculation on the parents. A lot of people believed that the parents gave the children something to make them sleep, and that the suspicion was that they could have possibly overdosed them and died, and then the parents did something with the body. But I don't know. I that was what I've heard about the parents. I don't know if it's true or not. That's just the rumor. I don't know how she wouldn't have woken up, though, with somebody else grabbing her and taking her. There's Madeleine, who disappeared on May 3rd, 2007, that we were just reading about. And you can see how her iris right there has the brown mark, so she was very easily identifiable by her eyes. And this is Mr. Christian Bruckner, a convicted German rapist. Police are understood to have found clothing and animal bones during the extensive search through an area known as Bruckner's, quote, rat run, unquote. Without evidence pinning it to the convicted German rapist, prosecutors risk not being able to get the arrest warrant they need to keep Bruckner behind bars. The claims were made in the Berlin Morning Post. Quote, several objects have apparently been discovered, which are now being examined in more detail by the police in the laboratory, unquote, a source said. Quote, as Portuguese media report, clothing, debris, and bones were found among other things, unquote. Quote, the investigators have not officially commented on whether the finds could have anything to do with Madeleine's disappearance, but that is clearly the hope. There is a picture of the police investigating the area and searching. Under the photo, it reads, police investigators search an area during an operation in the investigation into the disappearance of Madeleine McCann at Lagos in Algarve on June 5th. The picture here reads, the search took place around an area of scrubland near where the McCann family stayed in 2007. And there is a photo of the police searching the area. The search took place around an area of scrubland which is located close to where the British toddler was staying with her parents back in 2007. The little girl was aged just 3 when she vanished and has never been found despite extensive searches. German and Portuguese police used JCB-type machines and ground-penetrating radar but found, quote, nothing of consequence, unquote. It was reported that animal bones and adult clothing were the only things unearthed, but no traces could be linked to Maddie. This quickly dashed hopes of pinning Bruckner with fresh DNA evidence until the latest developments today. So far, from what I understand, all they found was animal bones and adult clothing. I don't think they found anything there, but there's some real interesting information in these articles. Like from here on out, it gets real questionable. There's a picture of Madeline again. Look at that baby. She's so happy and cute. Yeah. So sad. And it reads underneath, Maddie disappeared aged 3 and has never been found despite extensive searches. This picture under it reads, Bruckner at his February 2024 trial for unrelated SMEX crimes. And there's a close-up of this monster. It comes as The Sun uncovered new Maddie evidence in a bombshell documentary. Quote, Madeline McCann inside the secret evidence. The world-exclusive doc lifted the lid on gripping new information and reveals why Bruckner is the prime suspect. The Sun's investigation unveiled the horrors found at his abandoned factory lair and his obsession with small children. The dossier of overwhelming circumstantial evidence includes exclusive images of kids' swimming costumes, a toddler's bike, and toys found at Bruckner's property. The documentary also revealed how police found a mask, firearms, and child kidnap stories where Bruckner described using kidnap chemical ether to take a mom and toddler outside a preschool. The documentary on the police file represents the biggest leap forward in the understanding of the case since German police revealed Bruckner as a suspect in 2020. Can you believe that? He had pictures of children's swimming suits. He had a toddler's bike, and he wrote stories. He had a firearms and mask, and he wrote stories, and one of them detailed how he kidnapped a mother and her toddler outside of a daycare with ether. That is insane. Now, Bruckner has also made headlines. So check this out. This is from GBN, and the article reads, Madeline McCann's suspect makes sick taunt in letter about police investigation. Quote, will hit the world like a bomb, unquote. It reads, Madeline McCann's primary suspect has made a sick taunt in a letter about the police investigation into the British 3-year-old's disappearance. Christian Bruckner, age 48, boasted that police didn't have evidence to pin allegations against him, as the German who was convicted of rape in 2019 is set to be released from prison in September. He gloated about how the dropping of the probe, quote, will hit the world like a bomb, unquote. In the newly unearthed letter written from his prison cell, he wrote, quote, is there a body? Question mark. No, 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 unquote. There's Madeline right here, and there's Christian Bruckner. Can you believe that? He is taunting the police from his jail cell because he knows that he's going to be released in September. Under the picture, it reads, Madeline McCann's primary suspect has made a sick taunt in a letter about the police investigation into the British 3-year-old's disappearance. The article continues, it comes after German police conclude a 3-day search for forensic evidence in Praia da Luz, Portugal, near the villa where the toddler was staying before she mysteriously disappeared in 2007. The search, which was ultimately unsuccessful, was branded, quote, a waste of time, unquote, by the head of the German force. Rainer Grimm, boss of the BKA, Germany's equivalent of the FBI, appeared to have little confidence in the scrubland search, told a friend who wished him luck. Quote, thanks, we'll need it, unquote. Bruckner, who denies any link to the 18-year-old mystery, insists there is no evidence against him to tie him to the investigation. There's Madeline. She's so pretty, and she was very easily identifiable by this mark right here, this brown in her iris. right there. I put the circle around it, but if you look at her eye right here, there is like a brown mark right there in her eye. That would never go away. So if you ever saw her, even if she was grown, you would see that mark in her iris of her eye. Under the picture, it reads, Madeline McCann disappeared during a family holiday in 2007. The article continues, quote, in a letter seen by the Sun, he claimed quote, important, unquote, and, quote, decisive, unquote, questions about his involvement in Madeline's disappearance have been left unanswered. He questioned if his vehicle was, quote, clearly, unquote, spotted at the time of the crime and if his DNA or, quote, an injured person, unquote, had been found. He added, quote, are there other traces of DNA carriers of the injured party in my possession? Question mark. Photos? Question mark. And not to forget, is there a body / corpse? Question mark. All no, 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 unquote. Bruckner pointed out that under the law, the prosecution would have to prove his guilt rather than prove his innocence and suggested the investigation, quote, will be dropped, unquote. Here's a picture, and under it, it reads, Portuguese and German officers packed up their equipment at 5 p.m. on Thursday after scouring the area between the resort and a cottage where Kristen Bruckner lived at the time of Madeline's disappearance in 2007. He wrote, quote, even the slightest doubt leads to an acquittal if there is a court hearing at all, unquote. The SMEX offender also alleged the allegations against him have been built on, quote, purchased witnesses, unquote. Despite his denial, German police are adamant convicted rapist and pedophile Christian Bruckner took part in the disappearance of the young Briton. The offender became the primary suspect of the case after disturbing clues were discovered at the 48-year-old's abandoned lair in Germany as the probe into Madeline's disappearance intensified in May. Documents, pictures, children's swimming costumes, and toys were reportedly uncovered at a former box-making factory he bought in 2008, a year after the British girl was last seen. And that's all for this article. I hope you found this informative. Thank you for watching all the way to the end. So I found that really interesting that he did all of, he wrote that letter. Like I couldn't believe that he wrote that letter to the police just taunting them. Sorry, I got sidetracked. She was 2 years older to Abellis and had a lot of mental health issues encouraged on by what, YouTube? A woman tried to pass as Madeline. I saw that. She had the same eye. She was convinced she was her until DNA proved she wasn't. Yeah. The Polish who claimed she was Maddie said she also had that mark in her eyes. Oh, wow. How interesting. I don't have a lot for today. I do want to share with you what Abella sent me on Jack and Lily Sullivan. And I'll probably go so I can try to get some videos out because I did get this. We're going to see what it says. And then I have some other information I need to review and see about getting out for you guys. Let's see what this says. RCMP conduct polygraph test in missing Sullivan children's case. In an update, the RCMP gave further details as to what they had been doing to find 2 children last seen in Pictou County. Police say in a press release that over the last several weeks, they haven't ignored 11 police units, that they have involved 11 police units and several missing persons experts from across Canada in the disappearance of Jack and Lily Sullivan. The 2 children, who were 4 and 6, were last seen in public on May 1st with members of their family and were reported missing by their stepfather and mother on May 2nd. On June 11th, police say they have collected hundreds of hours of footage from around the Lansdowne station and from Gerlach Road, where the children's home is located. To date, the RCMP have formally interviewed 54 people, and police have given polygraph or lie detector tests to some of the people they interviewed. The update did not detail how many people were given polygraph tests. In addition, police say they have, quote, extensively, unquote, searched the property where the children were last seen, including, quote, every aspect of the home, grounds, outbuildings, and nearby septic systems, wells, mine shafts, and culverts, unquote. RCMP say there have been 488 tips from the public that they have followed up on. Quote, the investigation is being led by a tenacious, committed group of investigators who are gathering and assessing information daily to learn more about the circumstances of Lily and Jack's disappearance so we can find them, unquote, said Sergeant Robert McCammon, officer in charge. Major Crime and Behavioral Sciences said, quote, all scenarios are being considered and we've engaged every tool and resource at our disposal, unquote. The update also notes that RCMP have been granted numerous court authorizations to seize and examine materials and devices that could be useful to the investigation. However, RCMP do say that despite all this work, there have not been any more areas identified for search and rescue operations. Last week, June 2nd, marked 1 month since the siblings were reported missing from their rural home. There have been multiple efforts to locate the two children, including hundreds of volunteers scouring the dense woods surrounding the home where the pair were last seen. Drones, helicopters, K-9 units, and officers were deployed rapidly to the area when the call came in. However, none of these efforts have turned up evidence of where the children went. Speculation online continues to swirl as Canadians from coast to coast are questioning where Lily and Jack are. The latest search efforts surrounded the nearby pipeline trail where a boot print had been previously found. However, no further evidence indicates if the print was from the children or led to any other leads, according to the RCMP. From the beginning, police have been adamant that there is no evidence to suggest the children were abducted, continuing to investigate how the children wandered away from their home. That's interesting to hear that the police have been given polygraph tests to people that they have questioned, even though that's not a readily available thing in that area. Hi, Marilyn. But police say after a few days that they believe the kids were no longer alive. They did. They did. I don't know. I'm questioning that myself. Well, I've only been on for about an hour and 34 minutes. I was hoping to be able to play that video about Madeline, but was unable to. I do have two videos that I can play real quick that give us updates about what I was just reading to you. Hold on, and we'll look at those real quick before we go. But yeah, unfortunately, I suppose today will be a short live. Oh, I wanted to see if we could watch this. Hold on, you can't see it. This is a 37-minute video, so maybe we will be here a little bit longer. Let's see if we can watch it. I haven't watched it. If I disappear again.
In 2000.
Just stay and hopefully. Oh, yeah, okay. If I disappear again, just stay, and hopefully I won't be gone forever. I skipped it ahead, so we're going to start from right here. I suppose I won't play the whole thing.
You go down through a gate, you walk along a street, then you go through another gate, then you go inside the Ocean Club complex. They were in sight of the apartment block where their children were sleeping, as far as we know. Crucially, though, it also became clear that they'd left a patio door open. Obviously, whoever took Madeline took advantage of that situation, and while their backs were turned, had taken her away.
Hey, Mercedes. Mercedes said, Google the list of 49 questions Kate refused to answer. One was, why were you consider giving custody of Madeline to a family member? Oh, that's interesting. I'll look at it.
Being on the ground, I thought, how can anyone be so brazen to break into this apartment while the parents are just a few yards away? This must be someone with such a big criminal energy that is really difficult to imagine, someone who really doesn't care.
Okay. I want to go to... I guess we'll play it.
In 2016, police were called to an address in East Germany.
I think it's 4 weeks altogether. I don't think it took them that long just to search the property. I think it's just searches that have been done in the area of the property over the amount of time that they've been searching because the woods are so heavily forested and dense.
An abandoned factory owned by a man living on the fringes of society, Christian B. Investigators knew he was a criminal, with convictions for sexual abuse of children dating back to the 90s. But they had no concept of what else they would find.
I feel not well there. I feel always that has a very, very dark and creepy atmosphere. Very much isolated, a very hidden place. My name is Jutta Rabe. I'm a German investigative journalist and I have been on this case for a couple of years. A neighbor, he was walking his dog and the dog was running onto this compound of Christian B. The dog started to dig because he smelled something and he...
This is interesting and I haven't heard this. It was a little bit. Try to go out and come back in.
Did not let it go. So his owner had to climb over the fence and get his dog. Yeah? And by that he saw that there was sticking out a little tiny triangle of a red either carpet or blanket or whatever. And he pulled on that and the smell which came out from this hole, from the soil, was this kind of corpse smell.
So I'm wondering if that's what led them back to go search the property again.
The source of the smell was the body of a dead dog. Beneath it was a plastic bag. Inside, a wallet containing 6 USB sticks and 2 memory cards.
Oh my God. I had no idea that this even ever happened.
As police scoured the compound, they uncovered a series of disturbing items, images of which we can now reveal, including 75 toddlers' swimsuits.
Where did he get them from?
Preschooler bikes and toys. 3 working guns with ammunition. Black market untraceable weapons. Police also discovered a mask and bizarre homemade images of how Christian B might look in it.
What the Sam hell is going on here? You don't think that he had anything to do with Madeline? Interesting.
And there was a briefcase. Inside were pictures of young children with a list of phone numbers.
What?
Police knew they were onto a highly dangerous criminal. But they had no idea how important the discoveries could become for the Madeleine McCann case.
All right, they're going to go back. I'll get in trouble for playing this too much. We'll go back to him.
To find who's really responsible.
Police believe that person is Christian B. They suspect he not only kidnapped Madeleine, but murdered her. Cell data has placed the suspect's phone in Praia de Luz on the night of Madeleine's disappearance. Now,
Yes, he was.
our investigation can reveal that police are in possession of short stories written by Christian B., which he was working on years after Madeleine McCann was taken.
Now, this is where it talks about the stories. Hey, Salty.
They give an insight into his disturbing abduction and abuse fantasies. The Sun has translated these stories into English from the original German. Parts of them are too graphic to disclose.
Look now, he's got all these children's bathing suits, phone numbers, stories about what he would do to children. He raped an elderly person. Like, I think you got your man, in my opinion.
When she came to the car with her little daughter in her hand and opened the back door, I was already standing behind the two of them, holding a rag soaked in ether. I forcefully pushed it into the woman's face. At first, she fought hard, but I held her tight. The girl sat in the car and watched me with wide, horrified eyes.
Oh my God.
When everything was done and the two bodies were hidden in the darkness, I got my van, loaded up my loot, and drove away.
Y'all, this man has got to be responsible. I think that they might have been charged with neglect, yeah, for leaving them kids alone in that apartment like that, but this is compelling.
I jump in and pick up the shaking bundle. Big, scared eyes look at me. I carry her out of the car, close the doors, and walk her into the house. After I closed this door too, I thought to myself, welcome to paradise.
Oh my God. Stop. He didn't. Y'all, this is the stories that I was just reading in the article that he wrote about. That's probably why it took so long for it to be released, Abella. She said, I'm surprised this was released. Germany is extremely cautious about privacy.
In another story, he imagines a blonde-haired girl of 4 being presented to him to abuse.
I look excitedly at the door. A very small girl enters the room. She's definitely not older than 5. Blonde, long hair tied in pigtails bounces cheekily back and forth as she comes towards me. This is Maid Annalie. She is 4 years old.
Oh my God. Like, with all the swimsuits, do we not think that it's possible that this could have happened? I think so, Anders, but some of it seems to be true. Right, but he had children's swimsuits. A bunch of them.
I feel like I'm in paradise right now.
For me, in my mind, there is no doubt anymore that Christian B. had an obsession with snatching little children, little girls especially.
Oh my God.
After 2007, Madeleine McCann became one of the most recognizable faces in the world. But
I can't play all of this or my stream will disappear again. Let me see what they're saying here.
and that they were conducting an investigation into her murder. Referred to as Christian B because of Germany's privacy laws, the suspect was already in prison for rape.
Bei den Beschuldigten handelt es sich einen mehrfach
The accused has multiple previous convictions of sexual crimes.
vorbestraften Sexualstraftäter, der unter anderem
He had already been sentenced for sexual abuse of children.
auch wegen sexuellen Missbrauchs von Kindern bereits verurteilt wurde.
He is currently serving a longer prison sentence for other offenses. So he had already been previously convicted for sexually abusing children when they and then they let him go evidently, and he raped an elderly woman, which he's currently serving time for.
Derzeit verbüßt in anderer Sache.
Since it was a state prosecutor who had announced that in a press conference, there was no doubt that the authorities were serious about it. For the first time, there was a suspect, a real suspect. That meant something.
While Christian B's identity was made public, police kept their evidence secret. But journalists...
And that goes back to what Abellis was just saying about how the Germans, how Germany keeps that information pretty tightly sealed.
In Germany began digging into his past. It emerged that he was a criminal with a history of sexual offences against children.
See? That's a problem for me.
You can see a criminal pattern evolving at a very young age, when he was still a teenager, committing the first pedophile crime when he was hardly grown up.
When he was 17, he had sexually abused a 6-year-old girl on a playground.
In 1994,
oh my God.
Christian B fled to Portugal to escape a 2-year youth custody sentence for the offence. In 1999, he returned to Germany to serve his punishment.
That is a pattern that you can see all through his early adult life, going back and forth, and whenever he's caught doing something wrong, evading, disappearing, and drifting back to another country.
So basically, he does these crimes, and then once he gets caught or gets in trouble, he goes back to the other country. And you got to remember, these countries are close together. So he'll go from Germany to Portugal, depending on when he's been caught for what. Like, he might have went to Portugal, just speculating, and like maybe committed a homicide or something, and so he ran back to Germany and was okay with serving those 2 years because of what he had done in Portugal before Madeline went missing.
We spoke to a couple of ex-girlfriends and ex-partners, and they painted a picture of a Jekyll and Hyde personality. He could be friendly, he could be charming, he could be smart. But on the other hand, there were also ex-girlfriends that described him as all of a sudden showing another face, especially when he was drunk, becoming violent, threatening people.
That's not good. Abellis, thank you so very much for gifting 10 Speculation Station memberships. I really appreciate that. Those... Hold on. Intensive approach to the missing person. Okay. Sorry, I was trying to access the lab and I thought something had come out. I really appreciate you gifting 10 Speculation Station memberships. That was so very sweet and supportive of you, and I greatly appreciate the support so very much. You are so very sweet. Thank you so much for that. Those went to Justice Mama, Tina R, Iced Macchiato, Ellen B, Jennifer Positivity, Buzzcat, Jesse Hereford, Scout Tank, Occasionally Classy, and Tori. If you guys were gifted from Abellis and you are aware you were gifted, please tell Abellis thank you, and I will grab the Polar Express and pick y'all up on the way to Speculation Station. Thank you so much, Abellis. Thank you, Abellis. That was so sweet and supportive of you. I really appreciate that. Hi, Julie. The parents hit the jackpot when it was discovered he was in the area. Read the lead detective's book. It's so clear and irrefutable that the parents were involved. Well, they come back out later and said that they mistakenly accused the parents of doing things they might not have done. I'm going to look up what you were talking about, though, in a minute.
Is a guy with, I would say, two faces. Friends have told me he can be very charming, but then comes the guy in the night.
We were able to draw a picture of a person that was drifting between Germany and Portugal mainly, that was evading punishment whenever he could, committing a crime.
And then running back to the other country when he's committed a crime and won to keep from getting caught. I've been gone for 1 month. I needed listening to Swedish audiobooks. I've watched too much English. Oh, goodness.
Being convicted for it and then disappearing before the punishment could be served.
Oh, so he was getting convicted and then leaving before punishments were doled out. All right, we're going to skip that. We'll go to here.
From there, any kidnapper could have crossed here through unlit scrubland, rather than walk by the Ocean Club and risk being seen by the McCanns having dinner. The captor would probably have come downhill to this junction. Significantly, this is where a family of holidaymakers witnessed a man carrying a young girl.
So they crossed over here and they describe a man carrying a child as if he would not be used to carry a child. The witnesses described the child, and it very much was a description of Maddie.
Police.
Now, the child was asleep and being carried in the arms by the person, and it didn't look natural. It's not a parent carrying a child. That's why it drew their attention. The way he was holding the child was unnatural. She was asleep. She had blonde hair, and I think described as wearing pajamas that Madeline was in. I don't know. They were digging in an area that he owned, Kat, and they didn't find anything but animal bones and adult clothing, and he sent a letter taunting the police. I put a video out about it on my channel, and we reviewed that just a minute ago. So as of now, not really. We love you, Abellis. I love our chat here too.
Know that he drove a Jaguar XJ6 with German number plates. The day after Madeline disappeared, that car was re-registered under the name of an acquaintance in Germany.
So why did he re-register his car the day after she disappeared? That's interesting, and I'd like to know if they have that car.
In 2016, when police raided Christian B's factory hideout, among the raft of evidence, they found the same model of this Jaguar.
Skirt. We got to stop and look at these pictures. So would they rate? Let me go back.
In 2016, when police raided Christian B's factory hideout.
So they raided his factory hideout. There's the car.
Among the raft of evidence, they found.
Yeah, there's the car.
And the same model of this Jaguar with unknown.
What the crap is all that?
Substances inside.
Look at all those drugs. What is he cooking, meth? Like, that's a test tube holder. Ether. It's the ether that he's using this to get the kids and the moms. Maybe. Currently driving from Salt Lake City to Mississippi, now in Nebraska. Oh, will you drive safe, Kalisa, sweetheart? Now, I don't know. I know in some countries, like, you can go into, like, a pharmacy and buy any medication that you need. A lot of these are the same. Like, especially these ones with the red lids. What an... Oh, my goodness.
In the trunk, there was lots of chemicals inside. Unfortunately, the German police did not identify each of these chemicals.
I bet what was ether. I bet it was. We're going to look at that.
Search dogs lost the scent of Madeline in the car park at the village church. Where the captor went next has remained a mystery.
So she was put into a car, and he sold a car, same make and model. He had a different car, the same make and model, in his carport. And this is where they searched the dam in Portugal. I want to know what those step things are.
In looking at was a series of boreholes. They seem to have been taking soil samples of some sort. We never knew for sure why they were there.
Our investigation can now reveal evidence that directly connects Christian B to this key location of interest. During the 2016 raid of his German box factory, police uncovered a sat-nav. The data on it showed Christian B used the secluded reservoir as a regular hideout.
So he was hiding out at this dam as well.
We understand this is an area where Christian B would spend time and hang out. He'd come and hide among the trees.
Yeah, obviously he spent lots of time here. He said to friends he called it his little paradise here even. He liked very much to spend time on his own with his camper van or with any other of his cars and go to places where no other people could trace him or where he wasn't seen.
I wonder why. I wonder why.
He went here to be totally on his own, and we don't know what else he did here.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Police also uncovered a series of photographs showing Christian B at the Arades Dam location. One has...
Who's taking the pictures? I'm not sure that the medication is fact.
been doctored to show how he would look in a mask.
Oh, wow. Okay, so that nasty picture right there where you can tell that he's nude was taken at the dam.
Others are too explicit to show in full.
No doubt.
Most of these pictures show him naked in some weird sexual posings.
What the... Y'all. I don't even know what's going on here. Why is he naked as a jaybird and who's taking the damn pictures?
For whom did he take these photos?
Yeah, good question. We're not going to go back. Are there some pictures? Let's see what the pictures are.
Attracting women. He had many girlfriends there. Attracting children.
He also spent some time in what is called a Kleingarten in Germany, which is a little patch of green where they have a little hut on it. And then he also bought a weird derelict box factory.
Now, the box factory is what I think that they were searching most recently this month, a couple of days ago.
Documents show he bought the property in 2008.
This compound is 11,000 hectares big, and he had a motorhome, and he lived inside that. So he made like a camping on his own property, and it was chaotic in there.
I don't doubt it, mister. I'm going to stand nude at the dam and take funky photographs.
During a separate police investigation, while the suspect was living in the kiosk in Braunschweig, police uncovered a Skype chat.
So he was also living in a kiosk in Germany, I suppose? What is a kiosk, I wonder? I don't know why they are all meandering around naked. This is freaking weird.
Suggesting he was involved in the distribution of child abuse videos.
Oh, yeah, okay, so he's making and distributing CSAM material. Got it.
In one exchange, under a pseudonym, Christian B openly discusses his desires to take children with a fellow paedophile.
capture something small and use it for days, that would be...
Even the other one, whom he is chatting with, gets a little bit shocked, even though...
Has that put you off now? That might...
That is a pedophile.
On my birthday in 2013, you asshole.
Himself, but he obviously gets a little bit shocked. You can see it by this reaction, what he is...
They said, no, why? And he said, because you didn't get in touch anymore.
Typing into that chat. It clearly shows that he was part of a network talking.
But, okay, little one during that time, but you don't have any benefit, unfortunately. If so, I'll make a lot of films. Hee hee. Oh, yes, do it. I'll document exactly how she's being tortured. Cool. What the
To other pedophiles. I don't know how many more Skype chats
Well, let's see. Don't just talk. Do it. Hee hee.
Or other chats have been found, but this one is revealing very much.
Oh my God.
Christian B. would eventually receive a 15-month jail term for the abuse of a 5-year-old girl.
So he was put in jail for abusing a 5-year-old. The resort offered babysitting services at night. He would have had no way of knowing which units had kids with the sitter. I think the window was open and he could see inside, but I'm not sure. I think that's what they said. Again, though, I'm not sure.
In 2019, while in prison, he was found guilty of the rape of the elderly American woman in Praia de Luz in 2005.
So 2 years before Madeline disappears, he gets found guilty of raping an American woman from 2 years before Madeline gets... Okay, so later he's found guilty of raping an American woman in Praia de Luz 2 years before Madeline disappeared.
It is that offence for which he remains incarcerated. Despite being named a prime suspect in 2020, Christian B. has never been charged over the disappearance of Madeleine McCann, and his lawyers have denied he had any involvement. In the 7 years he has been behind bars, he has refused to speak to investigators about the Madeleine McCann case.
Well, yeah, I mean, he would incriminate himself.
But in that time, former associates of the suspect, who committed thefts with him in Portugal, have spoken out. One man told how he went to police with suspicions about his former friend. This man...
Uh-oh. What did he say?
...is known as Helga B.
Helga B says that in 2008, so about a year after Madeline had disappeared, he's been at a music festival in Spain, and that Christian B was also there. They started to talk, according to Helga B, about this Maddie situation, and Helga B claims to have said, "I'm kind of curious that a child can disappear just like that."
I wonder what his response was.
And according to Helga B, Christian B replied to that, "Well, she didn't scream."
What? Yeah. No, she didn't scream because she was asleep. And he was carrying her to the beach if it was him.
Helga B then says he reacted to that in kind of a surprised way and looked at him. And then, according to Helga B, Christian B noticed what he had just said. And then, according to Helga B, Christian B not only left the scene, but also left the music festival overnight. And Helga B, up to today, is convinced that that was the moment that the suspect confessed the abduction of Maddie McCann to him.
Dang, see, this is why they're so on to him and trying like hell to find her body. But, I mean, that was a music festival in Spain. He could have put her anywhere. along with all of his other, I mean, even in the story he wrote, carry them into the darkness and they disappear.
In 2019, Helga B. gave evidence that helped convict Christian B. of the rape of the American woman in Praia de Luz. Despite this, some have continued to question his reliability as a witness. But
Well, okay, so there's some questionable motives. I'll never believe that one of the drunk 7 was checking on the kids every 15 minutes. To be fair, I thought it was 30 minutes, which is quite a while, in my opinion. Plenty Swedish males like him, sexually deviant. Well, I mean, I think they're everywhere, unfortunately, Kat.
Investigation can reveal that Christian B. was in fact in the area of the music festival, as Helga says. These are handwritten and signed insurance documents Christian B. filed, detailing a camper van crash he had near the festival in Orgiva, Spain in March 2008.
He himself has...
So there's proof that he was there around the time that this person was there as well, that he says he was with, or that says was with him, with Christian.
Announced that he, with his motorhome, was damaging another car on a gas station in Orgiva. And exactly on that evening, exactly with his own words, he has described it. There were witnesses about that, and it was 6 o'clock in the evening. They are handwritten and hand-signed also by Christian B.
With Christian B.'s 2019 sentence approaching its end, Madeleine detectives realised they needed a new conviction to keep him behind bars and buy them more time. Taking
So that's kind of where we're at today.
him to court too early for the McCann case could risk failure, and under German law, they would never get a second chance.
While investigating these hints around the Maddie case, prosecution got indications that Christian B. might have committed other crimes. So what prosecution did is they put together the information on the other crimes and then pressed charges around these accusations. This can be understood as sort of a try in the waters, because the court that dealt with these charges is the one that would have to deal with a possible Maddie case as well.
So they're basically putting him on Front Street for other crimes he's committed to keep him in jail longer, and to their benefit, anybody dealing and hearing those things in court would also have to hear about whatever evidence they're able to bring in the Maddie case, the Madeleine McCann case, which is important and good to know. Miss Scorpio Rising just gifted a membership, and that went to Tracy with an E. Tracy with an E, if you are here and you are where you were gifted, please tell Miss Scorpio thank you. Thank you, Miss Scorpio. That was so sweet of you. It's good to see you, my love. And I will grab the crazy train and pick you up on the way to Speculation Station. Thank you so much, Miss Scorpio. Hey, Stolen Spirits. Thank you for clicking the thumbs up. Kat said, I have bad feelings about this case because they let children alone when they were enjoying themselves. My thought is they give too much sleeping medicine and covered it up. That's what a lot of people think.
In early 2024, when it was clear that there's going to be a court case against Christian B., although it's not going to be around the Maddie case, there was media frenzy. It felt like a sort of prelude. Now we're going to meet all the people involved in the Madeleine McCann investigation, in this case, the suspect, the witnesses, the lawyers, the prosecution that will build this case around Madeleine if there ever is one.
So all the same players that would be there for the Madeleine case are the same players for this case. Oh, why did you do that? Now I want cheesecake too.
The courtroom at Braunschweig Court was packed with people, packed to capacity. There was not a single free seat. People knew, looking at the clock, that very soon a door on the right would open and the man they were waiting for would walk in. The man prosecution thinks to be the killer of Madeleine McCann. Christian B was charged with 5 different offenses, 3 rapes, and 2 cases of sexual assault of minors. The 3rd rape case was probably the strongest. I don't
See, I mean, he is messing with small children and minors.
think any spectator on this day will ever forget what he heard in court.
Praia de Roca, Portugal.
In 2004, alleged victim Hazel Behan was 20 and working as a holiday rep in Portugal. She waived her anonymity to testify.
It was just an average normal day. I went to work. From there, I would have went around to a small little bar where my then boyfriend was working. So that night in particular, I was no different. The only difference there would have been that I went home alone.
Stolen, I hope you feel better, sweetheart. We're not going to be on much longer anyway. I didn't even plan to play this, but this is really intriguing. So I don't know. I'm going to play a little bit more of it. And then I'll probably be gone for the day too. But I hope you feel better, sweetheart.
I walked about, I would say, 100 metres over a small footbridge and into the front doors of the hotel where I lived. And I went through the reception of the hotel, walked into my room, lay on the bed. I was woken by my name. Somebody called my name. Before I even opened my eyes, I knew there was something wrong.
So I'm assuming he's in her freaking hotel room? And she doesn't know he was there?
That's when fear, beyond anything you could ever describe in words, hits.
Oh my God.
I just seen this tall black figure of what I knew to be a man by his voice standing over me in the room. He had a knife. I'd say it was around 12 inches long, kind of like half moon shape under it. I didn't think rape, I just thought murder. I thought.
And you would. You see somebody in your room that's just hanging out there. Oh my goodness.
This person wants to kill me.
Yeah.
He was the one who called my name and told me not to scream. He had pulled me up by the hair and positioned me in the position he wanted.
I'm going to give y'all a very heavy trigger warning right now. This is going to be hard to hear.
On the bed. I had a picture of my little sister up on the wall of beside my bed. I had said, that she was my baby, that please don't hurt me like that, I have to go back to her. He dragged me by the hair out of the bedroom area to the breakfast bar. He used my belt to tie my hands behind my back and set up his video camera.
So if there's video cameras that he is setting up to do these, there should be videos of, unfortunately, what he's doing to children and minors as well. I would think if he's camcording some of it, that he's camcording all of it.
He asked me if I was afraid, and I said no. I was so afraid. Like my whole body was shaking, but something in me, I just didn't want to give in to him. Like if I was gonna go out, I'm not giving him my fear. And that's when he whipped me. Take your breath kind of pain.
Oh my God.
He raped me over the counter as well, on the camera. He said, "You're afraid now."
This is sick and depraved. There's a control aspect of it. Oh my God.
I said, yeah.
In court, Hazel said her attacker wore a mask, but she could see they had blue eyes.
The mask had holes around the eyes that you could see the bottom of his eyebrows, so that I could see he was fair-haired, or, he had fair eyebrows. I could see his eyes, all black, with eyes.
Yeah, so you would be able to tell that he had blonde-colored eyebrows and blue eyes.
Despite Hazel's testimony, the judge was not satisfied that she could identify her abuser from his eyes alone. In October 2024, he was found not guilty and cleared of all 5 offences. The prosecution has appealed the decisions.
We believe that the decision is wrong, so we will appeal to the Bundesgerichtshof, the German Supreme Court.
So basically, if they're denying, if they're not going to convict him on these charges, they're thinking they're definitely not going to convict him for Maddie's case because there's way less evidence. There's nowhere near as much.
Hazel has always maintained her attacker had a raised mark on his thigh. Christian B's defense team have said there was no mark. But our files contain new evidence that could link this description to the suspect. This is a police report of an examination in 2018, which records him having a scar on his outer right thigh.
Look, and there's a picture of it. You see it right here?
The files also reveal a photograph of another scar on the inside of Christian B's right thigh. This evidence was not
Right
put before
there.
Hazel's trial. The court has not been able to provide an explanation for this.
So why weren't they sharing this evidence during her trial? That was a weird leg.
Some justice figures in Germany have been baffled by the failure to include certain evidence.
I think the policemen that have
Interesting.
been at court, they would wish that they can present the evidence again because they did all the work and they want to see the work at court. So when there's really such evidence, there should be an appeal and another court should have a look.
Is it?
Yeah, I mean, does he have a scar on his thigh or not? I'm going to skip it ahead a little bit.
A guilty verdict that would A, keep the accused in jail, and B, pave the way for a Maddie case. Well, this hope wasn't fulfilled at all.
Right. There's only a couple minutes left of it. I'll link it in the description box as soon as I can. But basically, yeah, if they're not going to convict him on those charges, there's no reason to believe they would convict him for Maddie either, especially with not even as much evidence. Oh. No, they said that there was, I mean, he was talking to pedophiles online. There's a bunch of evidence against him, Mercedes. If you watch the whole video, he's got kids' swimsuits. There's where he's hurt minors and things like that. Rape charges against minors. Let's see. I'm looking up the questions you were talking about. Okay. So let me pull that up before I go. This is an article from the Daily Mail. It says, it was the 5th of August, 2008. During 11 hours of interrogation, Kate McCain refused to answer 48 specific questions. Madeline's mother, who was legally represented in the interview, stayed silent as police threw a series of loaded questions at her that made clear they thought she was involved in her daughter's disappearance. Don't do this to me. Oh my goodness. Hold on. Try this one. Below is a full list of the questions that she refused to answer. Dang it. Hold on. All right, let me pull it up. Okay. 1. On May 3rd, around 2200 hours, when you entered the apartment, what did you see? What did you do? Where did you look? What did you touch? These are all the questions she refused to answer during the interrogation. 2. Did you search inside the master bedroom wardrobe? What were your exact words? What happened after you raised the alarm there? She's shown 2 photographs of her bedroom wardrobe. Can you describe its contents? Why was the curtain by the sofa near the side window tampered with? Did someone go behind the sofa? How long did you search the apartment? How long did the search of the apartment take you after you detected Madeline's disappearance? Why did you say Madeline had been abducted? Assuming Madeline was abducted, why did you leave the twins to go to the taps and raise the alarm? The supposed abductor could still be in the apartment. That's a good one. Okay, so what I want to remind you of, and I'm not trying to play sides here, I do try to be very fair across the board, but she's with her attorney and has been advised not to answer questions. So most of them seem normal, other than, I don't understand why she would leave her twins there if there could be an abductor in the apartment. Number 8, why didn't you ask the twins then what happened to their sister, or why didn't you ask them later on? I would think because they were asleep. When you raised the alarm at the tapas, what exactly did you say? What were your exact words? What happened after you raised the alarm there? Why did you go and warn your friends instead of shouting from the apartment? Who contacted the authorities? Who took place in the searches? Did anyone outside the group learn of her disappearance in those following minutes? Did any neighbor offer you help? What does "we let her down" mean? That's interesting. Maybe it means because they left her there alone. That sounds good. Good to see you, Shaker Maker. Did Jane Tanner tell you that night she'd seen a man with a child? How were the authorities contacted, and which police force was alerted? During the searches with the police there, where did you search for Maddie? How and in what way? Why did the twins not wake up during that search or when they were taken upstairs? That's a good question. Who did you phone after the occurrence? Did you call Sky News? Did you know the danger of calling the media because it could influence the abductor? I would think she called the news because she's in a different country, and if she suspects she's being looked at for something she legit didn't do, she would try to get media involved to protect her because she's a foreign national. Okay. Did you ask for a priest? By what means did you divulge Madeline's features? By photographs or by any other means? Is it true that during the searches you remained seated on Maddie's bed without moving? What was your behavior that night? Did you manage to sleep? Before traveling to Portugal, did you make any comment about foreboding or bad feeling? What was Madeline's behavior like? Did Madeline suffer from any illness or take any medication? What was Madeline's relationship like with her brother and sister? What was Madeline's relationship like with her brother, sister, friends, and schoolmates? As for your professional life, in how many and which hospitals have you worked? What is your medical specialty? Have you ever done shift work in any emergency services or other services? Do you work every day? At a certain point, you stopped working. Why? Are the twins difficult to get to sleep? Are they restless, and does this cause you uneasiness? Is it true sometimes you despaired at your children's behavior and it left you feeling uneasy? Is it true that in England you even considered handing over Madeline's custody to a relative? In England, did you medicate your children? What type of medication? In the case files, you were shown canine forensic testing films. After watching them, did you say you couldn't explain any more than you already had? When the sniffer dogs also marked human blood beneath the sofa, did you say you couldn't explain any more than you already had? When the sniffer dog marked the scent of a corpse coming from the vehicle you hired a month after the disappearance, did you say you couldn't explain any more than you already had? When human blood was marked in the boot of the vehicle, did you say you couldn't explain any more than you already had? When confronted with the results of Maddie's DNA carried out in a British lab collected from behind the sofa and boot of the vehicle, did you say you couldn't explain more than you already had? Did you have any responsibility or intervention in your daughter's disappearance? That's interesting. I didn't know that there was human blood found in the apartment or in the vehicle. Now, that could have been put there by somebody else beforehand, before this happened. Like somebody could have, I don't know, rented the apartment and done something nefarious. But I have to be fair across the board and say all of those are very, very suspicious. So I don't know, man. Hey, Heo Sandra and Minion. I still don't like Christian Bruckner I still think that he's somewhat involved. Especially saying she didn't scream. But I've always questioned if the parents gave those children some type of medication to make them sleep so they could enjoy time with their friends. Especially if she was frustrated with the behavior they were presenting, to the extent of she even thought about having a relative take Madeline because she felt like she couldn't deal with it. Yeah, maybe call the embassy, not media. That's a good point. I don't know, man. I still don't like Christian Bruckner and all of the things he has been convicted of. Benadryl? Maybe. Oh my God. A drunk woman drove into a restaurant and 2 children died. That is so sad. I'm going to check on my phone real quick just to see if there's any updates on Travis before we go, and then I'm going to go for the day. Okay, hold on. There we go. Manhunt for Travis Decker intensifies as County Sheriff's Office assumes lead role in search for father. The Chelan County Sheriff's Office has officially assumed the role of lead investigative agency in the ongoing manhunt for Travis Decker, the father accused of committing homicide on his 3 young daughters at a remote campsite in Washington State. In a clarification issued Wednesday, the department shared with Fox News Digital that the Wenatchee Police Department is no longer the lead agency amid the ongoing manhunt for 32-year-old Decker. The shift in jurisdiction comes as the investigation continues to focus on rugged wilderness areas within Chelan County where Decker was last seen. The department is coordinating with state and federal partners in an intensive search effort that includes aerial surveillance, tracking dogs, and backcountry patrols. On Tuesday, June 10th, authorities announced they were zeroing in on the Army veteran. On Monday, the agency received a tip from a group of hikers of a man who appeared evasive and unprepared near the Ingalls Creek and Valley High areas late Monday night, according to the Chelan County Sheriff's Office. So basically, we just learned that the Sheriff's Office has taken over the case. Look at some of the photos of the apartment, the missing gym bag. I did have some photos of the apartment that I emailed myself, but I've only got 3, so I'll look at that real quick. Hold on. It's not showing up. No. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think they would have showed necessarily a missing gym bag anyway. I'll look at it. I'll check it out, Mercedes. I'm going to go for today. I appreciate y'all hanging out with me today. And being here. I appreciate all your support, your thoughts, opinions, and speculations. You guys are awesome. I love y'all so much. Thank you for hanging out with me today. Thank you for being here. And I will definitely be back tomorrow, and I will see y'all then. If nobody has told you, you are important, you are special, you are enough, and you are loved. And I'll see y'all tomorrow. Thank you so much. Bye.
I gotta tell you, there is something you should know. I have never really liked you at all. I cannot hide it anymore. I've been thinking about the future, trying to forget about the